So we kind of want to start with where we came up with it. Habits of Mind, we learned about it in 2019 when a couple groups took a trip to Madera, South Dakota. It's an elementary school kind of by Brookings. And we saw what they were doing with it. And we knew right away that's what we wanted to bring to our school.
It was something easy that our school needed, and we wanted to see that in our students. So Habits of Mind, as you can, there's 16 of them. They're life skills. And so this way it's breaking them down and specifically explicitly teaching that skill to our learners, and then pulling it into every piece of our day. I mean,
so we might start like
taking our recess to all that.
Yeah, so they had a collab lab and a morning meeting, and they had collaborating across grade levels. They came and right away, as soon as you come in, they greeted you, they gave you eye contact, they gave you handshakes, and for like 30 seconds.
They're the learners.
Yeah, the learners, 30 seconds, the kids practice that. And we're like, ooh, that's pretty cool. So they are pulling in some soft skills, some life skills, helping each other. And I think we knew that those were skills we see that our kids need to help them, have perseverance when things get hard, with our student agency.
Yeah, and so then connecting it to our PCBL journey. So in 2019, we were just on the start of that as well. And just knowing how these skills will help our learners to show their student agency, to work through their pathways, and to, so that like thinking and communicating with clarity, using their voice to specifically say what they need, where they need to go with this standard, and those kind of pieces. So we saw that connection right away with the PCBL.
Yeah, and sometimes when we're doing different projects, I'll say, are we thinking interdependently, like working as a team? So if we use what we've been using vocabulary, like I said, we're just trying to share what we've been doing, what works for us, and then kind of what our plan is. But we use that terminology in our class. We have posters up on the wall. It takes literally 15 minutes.
Yeah, I would say 15, 20 minutes we take out of our day. Typically ours is in the morning right away. Get the kids going. So we have a site we use, it's Wonder Grove. So they have some videos on there, but that's being taught K-3. So they've seen the video. So then once Roxy and I were like, okay, what else can we do with them? So it's hands-on activities, it's different, one of my favorite ones is just the making excuses we use Rocket Kids off of YouTube, and it's just, helping it click with our learners. And
we really hit empathy right away at the beginning of the year. So that way we can show like, yep, it's okay that that child feels that way, and how can we work with them? Or like accepting responsibility, because Rocket Kids, it has how to make goals, like how can you make a morning routine? What should you do? Because by third grade, can you read for that 20 minutes by yourself? How can you make sure that you're hitting your goals and your expectations? With their learner profiles, we use a lot of this.
Wanting to pull in, having them target, okay, I'm really good at this habit of mine, what is one I need to work on? So that was something new we pulled into this year.
Yeah, so we just see it like, I don't know, even as well as playing board games in the morning, 3 of them, I group them. Sometimes they don't love that, but I'm like, well, what skills or what habits of mind are we working on? They even point on them at the wall. Like I'll say, what habits of mind are we using today in science? What are we using here? So we found that it's kind of helped in our classrooms, kind of hold them accountable a little bit, as well as, what habit of mind could we be using while we're not persevering? Because you're getting really frustrated because you're working really hard, so then they go and they look, and I'm like, okay, so what can we do? They're like, yeah, we need to reset, we need to think and communicate. How can we work together?
A piece, I guess. So this year we really focused on, okay, how can we make this go through our whole school of K-12? And so I know, so kindergarten talked about they're going to work on 5. So they've kind of like picked 5 priority ones. Because 16, that's a lot. And then first grade is going to add a few more, and then so on and so forth. And my third grade, we'll go through them all, and then it'll just continue. And then I know 4 through 6, they have a separate, it's part of the same program, but then they have a new variety of videos and new ideas.
Yeah, this year the Wonder Grove has new videos
Yeah, they
for 4, 5, and
revamped
6.
there.
So that's new, and it's fairly inexpensive. So that way, and we do show the videos, and Chris is really good about getting new books to
Yeah.
come in. And all of that, and I would say just mainly,
Yeah, so a struggle we found this year is, well, I had a parent come to me and it was about Roxy, and she's like, I have to give Roxy a compliment because my son at home, they were fighting and he recognized what habit of mind they should be using. And he was using this language, but then my husband had no idea what he was talking about. And so she was like, it's awesome that the kids are taking this back home. And she's like, and I knew what was going on, but my husband had no idea. So that was a piece like, okay, how can we inform parents, not overwhelm them, like with just this sheet, but how can we inform parents of what we're doing with habits of mind, why we feel it's important, that kind of piece. So
yeah.
that's something we want to.
Yeah, that's our struggle, just to how to inform them what it looks like, because we know what it looks like in our classrooms. And when we talk about things, and different things, but I would say that's one of our struggles too. And then we just thought too, I mean, it can be as much or as little work as you want to put into it. We just find that it helps our classrooms flow a little bit better. And then the kids kind of know, and they've heard the language, all the way. And then I thought in high school, I know when we met as a group, because we've done a lot of habits of mind EDs. So then they had talked about too, bringing it into their homerooms. And as a parent, I guess I have 3 kids in the high school and one in junior high, 2 in high school. And they had talked about how they really do like homerooms, getting to know kids from other classes. Like Jillian will talk about what Trace Bowman was working on, and so they kind of see it, so I thought, well, that'd be a good way, I guess, that maybe that they could incorporate that too, as far as our plans. But yeah, so do you have any questions?
Yes. Could each of you give a brief specific example of how working with one habit of mind or some of the habits help us get to the benchmarks that are our goals?
Well, so like if they were going to set a goal, so we talk about setting goals, like which ones of these, like thinking flexibly, what are some things that they could use to help them reach one of the goals that we want to get? So as a school, we talk about as a class probably, and they can incorporate and give us different things that they could do, like reading 20 minutes at night. What IXL things could they work on to maybe help with some of those goals? I think, yeah. Striving for accuracy, we talk a lot about that one because it's always just doing your best and setting high standards. So the kids know, we talk about that when we take the STAR test. We talk about it when we took the state test because the 3rd graders, that's their first time. And they're like, oh, this is hard. And we talk about, it doesn't mean perfection. It means striving to do your best and do the best that you can do and have high standards and expectations. And that's all we ask. So like, I feel like those ones work a lot with helping us to get where we need to be.
And I think the one that's still for me, so remaining open to continuous learning. When I tell my students, oh, I have this class or this, they're like, oh, you still have to go to school. What is that about? And so I think this is our way of remaining open to continuous learning. So we want our students to continue to grow. We want our staff, we want our school, our community to continue to grow and see the awesome changes that we have, and just having them know that you're always going to learn something new. So
yeah. And questioning and problem solving, I don't know, you could kind of look at all, I don't know, we work with them a lot. So like when they don't understand the question that's being asked, we use that one a lot too. Like, okay, what do you know? What can you break down? Stuff like that. So I guess like with the STAR tests and that stuff, I feel.
Any other questions?
They are masters in this area. They really are. And their kids do come out of their class and we see the differences of, as we support the portrait of a grad. So those things like, those are those behaviors. We had a long conversation the other day when Lori Phillips was there working with the admin team, like, okay, so what do we believe? And that masters of content is super important, but what's more important is we're sending our kids out with these things that they can do, not just that they can do math. Or like Brandon said, that we can't just do the algorithms, but we can apply those algorithms, and we're going to persevere, and we're going to work for accuracy, and all those behaviors that really are those underpinnings and supports of being a master. And so,
well, in this year we talked about handshakes and eye contact, and so we went to Mr. Miller's class with the high school kids, and I said, okay, and then they each had a sticky note for feedback. you know, because we kind of just said you don't want to be a loose noodle or a limp fish or whatever. So they went and each one of the high school kids had to give them contact, a glow and a grow. One thing they did well, one thing they needed to work on. One was like, you had really great eye contact, but your handshake wasn't as firm as it should be. So the kids, we practiced it for literally 10 seconds in the morning, you know, then of course we wash their hands because they're all like, oh, we don't touch themselves. And I'm like, yep, you're right. So wash your hands, but they really enjoyed it. And the high school kids are like, wow, I haven't done a handshake ever lately. You know what I mean? So I thought it was good for them to see that we're working on this stuff, that's something that you're gonna have to have eventually. Like, I mean, you're gonna shake somebody's hand eventually, and you're gonna want to look at them and how important it is and why. So I guess that's kind of why we do it too.
And you don't just teach your Wonder Grove. I mean, that's just a sport, right?
Oh,
You
yeah,
teach
no.
it throughout the day. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
people think, well, I don't have a curriculum for it, or I don't have a book, or I don't have a resource, but that's not what it takes.
Yeah, no.
It just, it's all day intertwined and.
Yeah, soft skills, life skills.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, like I said,
It
it
comes
can
to
be
the math problem, okay. How can we change your mindset? What habit of mind are we in right now? What state? And where do we need to go with it? So, yeah.
like when you fall down to go sit in your chair and you're like finding humor in it. 'Cause,
Yeah,
yep, that wasn't great that just happened, but, or like when Mrs. Miller trips over the chair,
Yeah.
because, you know, I'm like, yep, that happens where you have to laugh at yourself sometimes.
Mr. Beta, can we send all of the seniors down to third grade before they graduate?
You should be very specific. The seniors don't think they're now having to go to third grade and work back. We talked about, right, like next year movement with forums connected to elementary classes for purpose, right? So
Yeah,
that you connect
And
to-
how we can incorporate, yeah, like we don't know the whole plan, but we have talked about lots of great ideas. And like we tried to say that, I mean, it will be a little bit of work, not to say, just to kind of come up with a plan of how you want to use it. But after that, you can just pull in different things like, hey, we're doing handshakes today, or we're doing eye contact, different things. So.
Great. All right, any other questions? Thank you for your work. Keep up the good work. Happy teacher appreciation.
Thank you.